This is Daris D. McKinney. I'm your host of... Got a cough. Let's try that again. How you guys doing? This is Daris. I'm Daris D. McKinney, and this is Individual Perspective Podcast. Yeah, I'm sorry. That was a little rough around the edges. So, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Podcasts in the world of podcasts, you know, it's all live. It's all live. I'm live. Doing it live. How you guys doing? So, you know, I wanted to get on here, you know, and talk about my mindset, and it's almost like a diary I'm kind of doing in this episode. Because it's not about all the crazy exterior stuff from an individual human being. It's kind of giving you guys a bird's eye view on what I think mindset of an individual should be. You know what I mean? So my name is Daris D. McKinney. This is Individual Perspective Podcast. And what we do on Individual Perspective Podcast is we let people understand your innate ability is great. You have greatness and an ability to be great in your innate ability. Was already there. Was not to be deemed as your value. You get what I'm saying? So when you go to all the exterior social media influencers and Patreons and memberships and all this stuff, they're giving you information that if you are fully aware of yourself, if you have full awareness of yourself in what's going on inside your own innate pretty much being, then all they doing are awakening you to something that you have already comprehend. Do you understand that? In order for you to be able to take on a Patreon membership and look at the different classes as an influencer or a mindset person or a real estate mogul or whatever kind of membership that you might indulge yourself into for greater understanding and a greater valuation of what you're trying to accomplish or what your goals might be, or even to put yourself in a great mindset to start having goals. They're telling you things that are already, or they're awakening you to knowledge that you already have, that you have the ability to even inquire and to ingest and to comprehend and apply. Only way you could be of value to a teacher's information is if you can comprehend it. Do you understand that? So I say this because I've always been against like the system telling me what my worth is. You know, because I grew up in that environment. I grew up where family, friends, culture, it made my mindset what I did. You know what I mean? So you won't do much if the value around you is that you're not a high value asset to the world. So if you don't see yourself as a high value asset, most of the time you can't even see yourself that way if the people around you don't see you that way. Because you are who you hang around with. You are with the environment you come from. This is what we factually know. Gangsters are the environment that they had to survive in. You know what I mean? They're not just delinquent, like criminals for no reason, just out of nowhere. They come out of their mama's womb and they just messed up. You get what I'm saying? No, it's trained behavior. It's adjusting to the surrounding, to information that is adjusted for that person, what they perceived, what was the message in that action point that's in front of them, or what they read, or what they heard, or what they seen. So I'm not against, and I don't want people thinking that I'm coming on here communicating against social influencers and podcast people that got memberships and all this stuff like that. I think all that stuff is good. I think it's all great for the consumer that wants to consume it. That's as valuable as it gets. The consumer that wants to consume it. Okay? So what I mean by decisions now should be favorable decisions in perpetuity. What do I mean by that? That means whatever move on the chessboard you make now should affect how you win the chess game. It's you can't win the chess game in the moves that you made previously in the beginning of every move that you made leading to winning and checkmating your opponent. It played the factor to that. Meaning that in life, leaving out the metaphors, in life, the decisions you make should actually be the thing that helped you in your outcome that you have on your deathbed. So for me, I had a coming to Jesus moment 6 years ago like that. I lived my whole life. I worked a job. I made sure that I brought some money home. So the people, if I was living with my mother, if I was living with my father, if I was living under anybody's roof, I would be of value because I'm bringing money to the table. I'm making things a little bit easier. So I lived my life like that, of being value to the people I'm around, the people that the roof that I live under, the roof that I live under. You get what I'm saying? And the reason why I'm saying this, and I want to keep context, I'm not trying to insult anybody or anything like that. I just need to have basic understanding of things. In Individual Perspective Podcast, we train you how to vet yourself. If you're going to vet yourself, then you have to be unmercifully relentless about vetting anybody exterior yourself. Because if you won't be full of shit to yourself, then you really shouldn't allow anybody outside yourself to be full of shit. To be a mindset that is a disavowing of you. So that's why I say you have to vet your mama, you have to vet your daddy, you have to vet your siblings, you have to vet your community, you have to vet the society, you have to vet your heroes, your politicians, movie stars, musicians. You have to vet everyone. An individual perspective tells you you're a fool if you don't do this relentlessly and impulsively. You do a detriment to your own self. How could you ever be of value to anything exterior you if you don't extremely value yourself? So, speaking of that, it's my mindset to what I think you should look at when you're making decisions and you're making moves and you're trying to build your life or do business or partner with people and everything like that. Yes. In 2018, I lived a life previously before for a couple of decades where I was of value to people that I was around. But in my job, I kind of felt like you're working for somebody else and they don't really value you. And there's literally stuff that's going on right now where people are just emotionally firing people and disrespecting that human being. You know what I mean? I will watch this lady. She was a Hispanic lady coming from Chicago, corporate lady. And she came into the company and people that were lower than her or kind of employees that was on the lower departments or pretty much from the ground up, she would run around there and take people's life and them working a job and them having a job. And she was treating these people like you're a handicap to the company So I'm going to get rid of you, or I'm going to put you in a situation where you're adversarial with me that gives me the power to get rid of you. And for me, I can strategically see that stuff on impulse. I know how if a person comes up to me and they're a great enemy and they're using tactics to make me slip up, I could source that immediately. I could see it immediately. What you say the first time you say something to me, even in introduction, even in hello, how you doing? Even in that mindset, I can see what next move you're gonna make and why your tone is the way it is, or why your mannerisms, why your physicality is the way it is. I'm like that on impulse. But most people are not like that. They are victims to people's, make sure I'm saying my English right, because I know sometimes on my podcast, you guys probably watch it, you're probably saying, hey, he didn't articulate that in the King English dialect or the accurate way. That's going to happen perpetuity, okay? I'm not going to always speak very accurate and fluently, but I feel like my philosophical understanding of life and how I see the world is such a value that it's common sense communication also. So I'm not really breaking my English so bad that you won't comprehend what I'm saying. So I say most people actually fall to the will of other people, meaning that what that other person perceives your value or how you play a factor to what they see should happen or the overall outcome. Most people play into that. They don't really know. Don't let your life be decided in that manner. In order for your life to not be the will of another person, you almost got to play outside that person, outside what possibly could happen in this interaction. So for me, I was always good in the company, and I could always kind of manipulate the company to do my will and what I want to happen in my place in that company, because that's how I felt about that company. Like I was too good for the company, that I had more value than what the company was giving me. So I always kind of played, and don't be a legend in my own mind. I would use my intellect, my ability, my awareness in that environment to know that I was actually driving moments. I was driving situations. I was driving actions. I was driving frustrations of me and what they would do with me and what their ability to win and whatever outcome that they had that they wanted to have with me. I twisted and they didn't get that will. They didn't actually get that outcome. So I changed a higher, powerful, more effective person's outcome from me, from my outcome. And I made what my outcome their outcome, and I made them okay with living with it. So as I did this for decades, a bunch of years, for 18 years I worked there, I knew, like, Daris, you're not using all that stuff you were doing when you were a little kid, when you got into high school, when you got into middle school, you got to high school, and you kind of advanced yourself and you never left it behind. You always brought value to it or excellence to it, and you gain more valuation of that tactic or the skill level that you had. You always made it more. So in understanding that, I knew that I needed to do more with my life. I needed to actually live the life that I wanted to live and not be such an asset to everybody around me, but be an asset to my overall outcome. And why did I do that? I know that's, most people say, hey, dude, everybody want to be a movie star. Everybody want to be a filmmaker. Everybody want to be a musician. Everybody want to be a politician. Everybody want to be the president. Everybody want to be this big value to society. But really, you need to just go get a job and keep the financial stability of your life. And I said, you know what? I did that for 20, 30 years. And I feel like if I'm going to die, because everybody's going to die, I would hate to be 60, 70 years old on my deathbed. And I didn't take 10 years to be who I truly am and use my true ability. I just didn't want to die like that. So I decided my midlife crisis was me doing it. Me doing Daris. Okay? That's not favorable to the people around me, because now if I'm such a resourceful person around people or to people, I become a less valued, resourceful person to people, because I'm kind of doing a lot of risks now. I'm kind of, whatever the journey it takes economically or socially, I'm willing to take on that devaluation in order to get the outcome that I see is valuable to how I look at my value and what I look at myself as, or this risk for 10 years that I'm willing to take to not be a legend in my own mind. And I went into my work, I went into my field, I went into the ability of what I am, and win, lose, or draw, I actually did it. And so when I'm on my deathbed, what I look at my life and say, you know what? I went out to be a filmmaker and I got 7 movies done. A total of 10 if I really put the stuff in, if I calculate the things that I don't own. But I actually was the it factor. I shot it, edited it. I was a key factor to making it happen. And I did that within 6 years. In addition to that, I did a really detailed analytics to see if the average person that work at Walmart, person that work at Popeyes, that work at McDonald's, that work at a corporate company, that work at a hotel, that works in the service industry, that try their best to do independent work enough to make a $18 to $30 an hour, what would it take for them to be able to fund their own movie, write it, cast it, have the production equipment to shoot it, to film it, and everything in between, food and everything, rent, and paying for a car note, and paying for car insurance, and groceries, and paying for their rent and the internet, and what would the normal average person making $18 to $30 an hour, how would it be for them to do a movie at the lowest, cheapest, low independent, ghetto, urban film? What would it be? And I seen that it would take them 6 years to be able to fund their own movie and be able to actually do it, if that's what their desire was, to be a filmmaker. And within that 6 years, I did 7 to 10 movies. And I bought high industry standard equipment that's greenlit and that actually has the same outcome that they shoot Titanic, they shoot Dark Knight, really high industry quality films would, having the ability to be able to present that imagery and that presentation to an audience, have the ability to do it. So in 6 years, that's what I accomplished. I knew I was extremely overperforming. I knew it. A lot of the people that I was around and that I did was working with doing film and everything, the most that they care about is, can you do it? Let's do a premiere. Let's get it on Tubi. I'm like, nah, we need to make sure we have the standard of what they do with Sopranos. You know why you watching Sopranos in 2024 and that's a 2001 product? You know why you can watch Sopranos right now and it's efficient? The acting is efficient, the production is efficient, the presentation of it is efficient, and you don't ever need them to go mess with it again or reshoot it or anything like that or re-edit it or anything like that. You know why that is? Because it's a rules to the metrics. It's a rule of filmmaking that's elementary, that's done by every single studio, every single TV network and everything. These are just rules that are basic. And my standard of making a film or a TV show is not what the actors want to do at a premiere. What the community want to give me clout because it's on Tubi. My standard is, in 10 to 20 years, can the viewer enjoy this and not think about, oh man, this movie look like my cousin Pookie made it, man. Man, that house look like my apartment. Can you get the viewer out of the perception if they don't know none of the actors on the screen? Steven Van Sant in Sopranos, nobody knew that this was the lead guitarist of Bruce Springsteen unless you was a Bruce Springsteen fan. In America, we have hundreds of millions of people that don't listen to Bruce Springsteen. They don't know who the hell this guy, this suave 60s looking guy on the screen on Sopranos. They don't know who this guy is. But to the viewer, they didn't care who he was. They paid attention to his performance. They paid attention to how the story presented him. And that's how I feel about film and what I do in film. The reason why I bring this up is because the decisions now that you make should be favorable decisions in perpetuity. The decisions now that you make should be favorable decisions that you make in perpetuity, means forever. The decisions you make now should be a great and phenomenal and smart decisions that you made forever. A young person may never be able to have that ability, or it'd be rare for a 25-year-old, a 30 or a 35-year-old to make like favorable decisions now that actually will be good decisions that they made pretty much in forever. But I work around a lot of 40-year-olds, people in their 50s, like late 30s, early 40s, going into their early 50s. Come on, y'all. Decisions y'all make now should be great decisions 20 years from now. But they're making decisions, and I'm like, man, that's dumb. That's a dumb way to look at it. It's a stupid decision that you just made. Your ideology is so retarded. And the move on the chessboard and the move that we're doing within this company, that's a dumb move. I cannot let you lead me. That's a dumb decision now. Because you want clout now. Because you want favorability now. But in the long run, it's a terrible decision. I was watching Denzel Washington in an interview that he's talked about for his character in the new Gladiator. Because he's pretty much the head Caesar kind of character in the new Gladiator 2. And the way that he was communicating about the character, and then the interviewer, she went into the discussion of his kids in the business now, and he was talking about his son. One of his sons is like a high Ivy League filmmaker that went to like pretty much the Harvard of film education. And his son is so great. He does a great, phenomenal job. But they also had a father and the father's standard too. And I said, man, this is who inner city filmmakers and urban filmmakers and low budget filmmakers. This is your opposition. This is your enemy. You know what I'm saying? Denzel Washington, his son, and his son that's actually directing and being a filmmaker, and what instinctively Denzel Washington feels like the next generation of filmmakers should be like his sons. He doesn't mean any harm by it, but this is his true impulsive decision when he's not trying to pander to lesser value people than them. When he's just kind of saying something on just the ability of what he did in Gladiator and the project of what his sons are doing in the business and all that stuff like that. It was impulsively. It wasn't trying to pander to people that doesn't do as well as they are or come from a well-to-do environment that they have constructed for their kids, and even just the mindset of intelligence and strategic thinking that Denzel Washington has that he passed down to his kids in arguments and discussions and standards that he pretty much had over his household. So the reason why I say that is because that's what a person like me and the local filmmakers and the local actors, this is your opposition. This is who you trying to beat and challenge and be just as valuable as these people. And we going out and just throwing spaghetti against the wall, because that's what I think about Tubi movies and a lot of the filmmakers that's doing Tubi movies. No matter, these guys are making, they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on these Tubi movies. They are shooting with the most high standard equipment, red cameras, black magic cameras, Arri Alexas. They are in the highest standard shooting movies in. And when you watch it on Tubi, you're like, oh my God, man, your production is about $800 to $1.5 million. And you let that person get away with that line? With that performance? What's the point of doing all the bells and whistles? I tell you, I don't care. I've seen all the stuff on Tubi and the stuff that come from my local Detroit area. I'm telling you, the stuff I've seen, I guarantee you, same location, same actors, same script, I can go shoot it better than they did with an iPhone. I don't need all my equipment. I don't need my cameras. I could go with my iPhone and whoop they ass. That's how much they suck to the standard. From Charlie Chaplin all the way to Gladiator 2. They suck in that standard. I know that's harsh, because I'm not saying that the work I've done is so great because I got to work in the confinement of the time I have and the ability that I have and to get it actually into existence. But I tell you, I do the work I do, you'll see it. It's got longevity value to it. I give seminars about my movies, even no matter how low budget they are or what I did to get them done, I can do a seminar on it. And that's how I present it to the audience, because I'm not going to present something that I can't say, you know what? I can live with that. It took me a while to get certain movies to the place where I can say, you know what? I can live with that. So I say this because we were fighting this 2024 election, and now that it's over and Trump won, people so messed up with the mindset that their parents gave to them, that they society gave to them, that their favorite musician or movie star or politician or philosophical influencer or motivational speaker gave to them. And it's like your mind is not even your mind. You don't even have an individual perspective on things that's yours, that you know wholeheartedly this is the truth, this is the blunt factor of the situation, this is the objective analysis of the situation, this is objectivity that I should be perceiving this situation under. They don't even think like that. I'm like, man, y'all need to pay attention. the fortitude, the ambition, the self-realization that Trump is running his campaign and whatever he's going out to do, we need a little bit of that in our own personal lives. You have to ambassador yourself. And if your life is not something to be ambassadored, you have to make it that way. You have to find a way to give value to yourself and to what you're doing that you can ambassador yourself. What I mean by ambassadoring yourself, you can advocate yourself. You could give us a 3-day seminar about your mindset, about your ability, about your accomplishment, about your journey through life. You may not have that right now, but the decisions you make now gives you that value 10 to 20 years from now. That's my point. I know it sounds crazy. I don't even know how many people are going to be able to watch this because I got to do so much to my social media channel, YouTube channel and Rumble channel that I just don't know how this is going to come across people. But my goal is to do as much shorts and put it on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and Rumble, that it kind of gets some kind of communication about Individual Perspective Podcast and Daris D, McKinney. I don't share a lot of my podcasts. Actually, I don't share absolutely none of my podcasts on my Facebook page with my family, on my film company's accounts and profiles, because Individual Perspective is who I truly am as an individual. And the mindset that I have here is not favorable to my community. It's not favorable to my race. It's not favorable to my upbringing. It's not favorable to my community, friends and family and society that I live in. It's not favorable to things around me because I can't worry about that. The outcome of what comes out of my mouth need to be favorable in perpetuity. That's where I live. And it's a detriment to me. I can have better outcome. I can have better situations if I give in to things that are not favorable in the long term. So I say this because as I take this journey through my life, and I lived the last 20 to 30 years of my life, I want to say to America and the world and people that may come across this content somewhere down the road or down the line, you are your best asset. It's not how you look. It's not how good your teeth is or bad it is, you know. It's not how people perceive your value. It's you and how you look at yourself and how you value yourself and how you use your God-given gift of sight, sound, smell. And if you're blessed to have physicality of fingers and hands and arms and sight, if you're blessed with that, do something with it. Not what people think that you should do with it. Do what you feel. That's that little something that you can actually do redundantly and give expertise to. And that's my message in this episode and why I came on Individual Perspective Podcast. And I wanted to kind of talk to you guys and really put myself out there. You know what I mean? It took a lot for me to get to where I'm at, especially over my life and the last 6 years was brutal. When I took a chance on myself and I went to go take myself out that 9 to 5 where it's consistent money, where you knew where your money was coming from, and worst case scenario, how much it was going to come in. I took myself way out of that, and that was extremely, extremely risky for me. And then you get into projects where the amount of money that you wanted to do the project to guarantee stability in your life, that's not even an option. And people go into the situation thinking that, hey, even if you budget this movie for $84,000, you got to try to pull it off for $15,000. Even if you budget this movie for $30,000, you got to put it off for $2,000. Even if you budget this movie for $30,000, you got to pull it off for $6,000. Even if you budget this movie for $50,000, you got to put it off for $27,000. I'm like, how am I do that and eat and make sure if my equipment breaks or something happens that I got to keep the production going because we got the cast and we got the schedule and all that other stuff. How am I do that? How am I do that when the $2,000 or the $3,000 or the $6,000 or the $15,000 or the $27,000 goes to paying the actors to even show up and feeding them? How am I do that? And none of that money comes to me to even be there, to even talk to me for 10 days at the lowest financial situation to pull a movie off, to edit it and present it to you. You can't even talk to me. I'm talking about the cheapest, which you would have to pay any cheap ghetto ass person to do a movie if they have the ability to help you do a movie. You got to pay them about $37,000 when it's all said and done. And I can't have none of that. From the beginning of conception of the movie, of writing it, to the execution of presenting it to the audience. I can't have none of that. If it takes me a year, 2 years, 6 years, I can't have no financial stability to making this movie. And I end up shooting and filming and editing six to 10 different movies within 6 years. I'm not going to talk about what I did before. Within the 6 years, you're going to have to mobilize yourself. You're going to have to find the value in the outcome that you're looking for and let that be your driving force. Because whatever everybody else is looking for, it's going to destroy you. It's going to make you where you don't even have anything to show for it in the end. So 6 years, if I did it the way that everybody else wanted me, I'm talking about 99% of everybody around me. If I did it their way, we would have felt, I would have had incomplete projects, incomplete films. I would have never been able to complete and showing how to actually end this story or present this story to an audience. I had to figure out, okay, if everything falls apart, if everything drops out, if I have issues within the process of making this film, what's my end outcome? And what do I need to do to execute that? At the least, that's where I'm in. That's where I'm at right now. Okay? And I know that's a lot. And I send this message out because I'm using my career, me being a filmmaker and going through the process of being a filmmaker, but you can apply this in anything in your life, or what your aspirations are, or what your dreams are that you think is so lofty and it's too big to even execute on, so you don't even do it and you just try to, tiptoe through life. Don't do that. It's a disservice to yourself. Whatever you don't, I felt, and how I look at my value on life, that I felt that my accomplishment got to be these big things like making a movie and getting it done. That's huge. And getting it done enough that if a huge person was to somewhat give you the time of day and sit down and watch your movie, and they made hundreds of movies and they made multi-billion-dollar movies, and they was to kind of just sit down and click your movie on Tubi, will they see something like, wow, it's pretty artistry, that's pretty professional, that's an interesting presentation I just watched there? Because that's what you want from your basic, most average viewer. That's what you want them to do. Find a little something valuable personally to them in the movie that they just got through watching. So I say this because it is a hard thing. I woke up today and I'm driving and accomplishing things that I'm accomplishing today, and I was just thinking about, man, when I'm strategically plotting on things and trying to execute on certain things, I'm by myself now. And what put me in a situation where I'm by myself? Because I had to realize how damaging the standards I have for myself. Impulsively, I make great decisions where they actually are valuable to me 6 years from now. 6 years in the past to now. Let me say that again. Impulsively, the decisions that I made 6 years ago are powerful, great, and phenomenal outcomes that I have right now. And those decisions are valuable right now that I made 6 years ago. And those decisions that I made 6 years ago came from decisions I made 18 years prior to those decisions. And I can walk you through it, everything. So I say that because when I find myself where I can't talk it to anybody, I can't brainstorm with anybody, it's not because I'm alone and I messed up with the people that I had around me, that they lost faith in me and I became a devalued asset to those people, that they were left me for dead. You know what I mean? It was because all the decisions that led up to 2024 and who I am right now, the decisions that I made 6 years ago, impulsively, actually helped me not destroy myself up to this date, because I never valued the decision exterior-wise to be favorable to everybody exterior-wise, where I can't have the outcome that I have now. And I know the decisions that exterior people, family, friends, community, I know what they told me to do, how they told me to be, how they wanted me to execute on certain things, how they wanted my outcome to be, or what they wanted the outcome to be. I know if I did it that way, oh my God, I'll be watching Tubi and I'll be watching something, I'll be like, Daris, man, why you just didn't take a little bit more time on that? Why you didn't do what it took? Why you didn't, whatever it took, however money you had to get up, why you didn't do whatever it took to execute on things you knew that could be better, that could have been done, executed on better, that could have better outcome? Why didn't you do that when you thought of this stuff during this process? But now you watch a Tubi and it's on that platform, and you're like, oh man, I wish I edited that better. Oh, I wish we went to go get some extra shots on that. Oh, I wish I edited that better than that, chopped that down better than that. Oh, I wish I would use better music than that. Oh, I wish I... Why you sitting at home and got people judging you in the audience saying, man, because you just took a little bit more time on this? If it takes the industry that has billions of dollars in big studios and big editing equipments and big mega sound studios and stuff, if it takes them 1 to 2 years to actually give you a film that they put into presentation, if it took them that long, why you knocking out a movie in 6 months and put it on Tubi, filming it, writing it, filming it, and putting it on Tubi in 6 months? It looks like that. Sad. Many of my movies look like that. I wash my hands of it. And I'm okay with it. Not because I didn't even try to think of longevity. Rewatch. I didn't care about that market. I didn't care about the longevity market, and I didn't care about the rewatch market. I just care about slapping it out. You got a lot of dope boys and a drug community market and people that sold drugs and stuff. You got them making movies, and they sling movies like a bag of weed, like a rock of cocaine. That's how they sling it. So they don't really need longevity. They don't really need like a rewatch audience. They just need you to click that button one time and watch it enough one time that gives them accumulation of a couple $100,000 or $1 million if they're lucky, if they can have enough influence of that, and that'll be it. And perpetuity. That's good. Let's go do another one. I never had the dope boys to help me out to make a movie. I was probably slinging them out like a bag of weed too if it was a funding, it was abundance for me. It was never like that for me. I had movies that absolutely needed $84,000 to shoot. But if I set the standard of having that $84,000 before I rolled that camera, I would have never got them done. I would have never put the movie from idea to physical reality if I waited for that $84,000. I had to fight and do whatever it took to get the movie done. And sometimes that took starting it with 15 grand and do 6 years, penny pinch it all the way to the quality if I had the 84,000 in the beginning. I had to do it that way. Now that's not favorable to people around me and people that need me to have abundance outcome right now. But that's the road I had to take, because in the end, that's what's going to matter when I'm dead and gone. And that movie needs to be of value in perpetuity. That's how I look at it, y'all. I know it might be bad and I might have to pay the price in the long run for it. But I own everything, so ain't much I got to pay the price for. You get what I'm saying? I never really tricked myself off like that. Like in the concept of making the movie and whatever it takes to get the movie completed and complete it in a way that it's value to people that you will never get an eye contact with. You will never be watching, you'll never be talking to people in India that somehow over 2 to 3 years, 5 years time span that absolutely have a high probability of scrolling past your movie. You got to make it where it's easy for them to watch it. You got to make it easy for people in Kentucky to watch it that's racist or whatever. Whatever perception as a Black American that you think, you got to make something that's interesting to everybody. Every good people, bad people, whoever come across your content. Racist people, whoever, good people, everybody that comes across your content in America, white, Black, Hispanic, Asia, whoever these people, good or bad, when they click on Tubi and they get the chance to click your thumbnail, did you make it easy for them to consume it and say, you know what? I enjoy a little bit of that. I enjoyed that movie. That was kind of interesting. Give them that at least, y'all. And I'm telling you, there's thousands of movies on Tubi coming from the inner city. People gonna turn it off in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. If you're lucky enough to get them to go through the first episode or 30 minutes, they ain't going to the next one. That's what I'm talking about. That's in my world, but this rules and this thought process and this mindset goes to everything. If you want to be an artist, if you want to be a construction company, independent plumber, or whatever you want to do in your life, this mindset works. Meaning that love what you're doing and put your own individual ethics to what you're doing. And that will be the thing that gives your name and who you are value for decades to come. Excuse me. My name is Daris D. McKinney. This is Individual Perspective Podcast. And sorry, I gave you about almost an hour of my individual perspective of the journey I'm taking in my life and the decisions I'm making and interactions that I'm having right now. And yeah, I just really hated that I woke up this morning and started my day, and then I seen that, wow, man, I had nobody to call to brainstorm with and to kind of say, hey, I'm about to release all these movies and I just need to figure out how I get this extra $36,000 that bring everything to a close. And I'm looking at it like, man, you're on your own. You're on your own. You know what I'm saying? So guys, thanks for watching. Click the like, follow, subscribe to this channel. If you can, go into my email. Contact me. It's all in the description at the bottom. Hit our Cash App, our PayPal app if you can, if you want. $1, $2, whatever. But also, if you want to partner in what I'm doing, you don't have to worry about funding equipment. You don't have to worry about funding the ability of content to make and write and all that stuff. I got that. We got that handle. I got that handle. If you want to come in to actually help make some noise for the next 2 to 3 months, because I did a lot of work. We have about 7 films that we're fighting, and I'm fighting to get into the viewing audience. And I have a great standard of how I'm presenting those films to you guys. You get what I'm saying? So if you want to be part of that, if you want to come in, let's make this next journey powerful. But you're coming in and you have ownership of 7 films right now. You have ownership of a media production company. Come on in, help me get to this $36,000. This is not what this episode's about. You don't even have to do that. This is more of a venting, and like I said in the beginning of the movie, please rewind, because that's the context. The context that I communicate is in the whole discussion. So it's everything from the beginning of this podcast to the end. And that's the context that I speak in. I'm not here to hound you or tell you to give me money for nothing or anything like that. I'm telling you, I already did the huge value to make even dealing with me in any kind of shape or fashion a win-win situation. For you, I lose a little bit by not hunkering down and just pushing through it solo like I am right now. That's the best outcome that I have for myself, to just say, fuck everybody exterior wise me and just hunker down and do it. But I do feel life is better when you have a community, when you have a partner, and when you can kind of move through this stuff where you're not alone. So I'm always going to plead out or reach out to partner with people, to partner with people that actually understand the journey. I don't hide anything. I'm open. I can give you a powerful presentation of what my goals were and what it's accomplished and where I'm going. There's nothing about me that ain't a win-win. So I communicate this to give a mindset, and even just to communicate my mindset even to myself. You know what I mean? But I have put myself in a good position where it's a win-win for people to come in and assist what I'm doing. Okay, I'll leave it there. This Individual Perspective Podcast. My name is Daris D. McKinney. I'll see you guys on the next one. Yeah. Okay, we're out. Check you out, guys.